You referenced where you were at emotionally and personally. Maybe just go deeper there. Where were you at emotionally and personally? What was going on for you?
A lot of stuff, I think. You know, timing wise, the pandemic hit right at our 20th anniversary of running our company. And about at our 15 years, about Chris and I had set out to say, we want to build a business to sell, not because we want to sell, but because if we build a business that to sell, then you actually build a business that's really great to run. And then we have options because, operationally cleaning things up, making sure we're not in the middle of things, making sure the team can run on their own, all these things that, are paying sales tax, like all these things that are just like make the business easy to sell, make it much more fun to operate. And so we had said at the 20-year mark, we want to have choice. Not that we want to sell. We didn't think at the time we would, but we thought like that would give us a really safe place to be. And the way I had a friend tell me this in EO, in my EO forum a bunch of years ago, and somebody had told him this, that like entrepreneurs need to think in decades because that's about how long it takes, like from an idea to hope an exit or whatever that execution is. And he's like, so you have to look at your world and say, how many more decades do I have? How many more tens do I have? That's kind of how I think about it. So 2020, we were hitting it was our 20th year in business, and the pandemic hit. And so at that time, we were working on this, big 20th anniversary kind of marketing campaign, but also just an internal campaign of like celebration. And Chris and I felt like we had another 10 in us. And we kind of reflected on that again, on a very personal level. I've always run this business very personally. And they said, like, we have two young kids. Even if we wanted to sell now, our life couldn't materially change. It can't just travel the world, right? I got to be home. I have 2 weeks vacation in the winter and, whatever. So it was like, it wouldn't change materially. And I love my team and I love what we're doing. Let's go, game on. And then the pandemic hit. And so we spent the first, year or so just keeping the team feeling safe, making sure that the business was safe, but making sure that the team was safe. And, really suppressed kind of any of that self-exploration that everybody was having, all our employees were having in the early time. So come 2021, it was our chance to start really exploring. And to be honest, we were just really, really burnt out. I'm sure the pandemic had a lot to do with it, but also just the industry, the software industry is changing a lot. It was a rough time in the industry. I don't know what it's like now. I hear it's still kind of been rough, but it's changing. It's shifting. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of uh, really amazing things that's going on, and there's a lot of things that I don't agree with that's going on. And so, we had to we were looking at it and saying like, okay, we have to do this next 10 and scale and do all these things that we're not comfortable with, we've never done before. I think we could figure them out, but we've never done them before. Uh, but under the pressure of this kind of evolving industry that's changing a lot, having really just direct conversations like what else would we do with our lives. And I was reading a bunch of books about like Bo Burlingham wrote a book called
Finish Big. It's a
Finish
great
Big.
book.
Thank you. Yes, Finish
Yeah.
Big. And so I read that a couple years ago, and I read it again, and I was just reflecting on kind of uh, how we want to live and what we want our lives to be. And the truth is, we're both really young. I've never done anything else in my life. And so just going through those exercises of like, well, what if, what if? So when they reached out, we were in this place of just kind of like really burnt out emotionally and just feeling a lot of pressure to make a decision on like, and it felt almost like a little bit of a trap because this is what we do. We climb that next mountain, we hit the next plateau, we climb it again. That's all we know. This is who we are as entrepreneurs. And yet, we're kind of like, I don't know if I want to this time.